Hello everyone, Sabrina here from Scrappy Tails Crafts, and today I have a longer video for you. I made 12 cards using some new products from our Heartfelt Wings collection. But before we get started, I do want to announce the winners from my product showcase video, and those winners are Rolanda, Lewis, and Moon Eye Design. So ladies, I will reach out to you in the YouTube comment section so that I can send you your $50 gift card to Scrappy Tails. Thanks again for everyone who watched that video and commented. I always do giveaways for those product showcase videos, so if you didn't win this time, you might win next time. Alright, so let's get started. I am going to pull in the supplies that I'll be using today. I'm mainly going to focus on these three products here. These are stencil and die combo sets. We have the I Love You Butterfly, the Hello Butterfly, and the Thank You Butterfly set. I'm also going to pull in the A7 Rose Oval die set, and later on I'm going to pull in the Slimline Butterfly Swirl die set, and I'm also going to be using the new Butterfly Kisses 6x6 paper pad. So the first third of this video is actually just showing the stenciling process for these butterflies. What's really cool about these sets is you get 5 or 6 layers for your butterflies, and then you can cut them out with the coordinating die that's included in the set, and the die has etched lines on the wings. So while you create a really beautiful stenciled butterfly, you also get that detail on the wings when it's cut out. So it's kind of hard to explain, but once you see these butterflies come to life with color, you will see just how beautiful they turn out once they're fully stenciled and cut out. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this stenciling process. I actually spent a whole day just creating butterflies. So I think for each stencil, I made 10 to 12 butterflies. I have a few left over, so if you want to see more cards, I can definitely do a part 2 to this. But this stencil that I'm actually blending now is the Hello Butterfly Stencil and Die Combo, and this one's included in the Butterfly Kisses card kit. So I have a few of these left over that I'm going to use for my 10 card 1 kit video. And here I'm just blending through pretty much every Distress Oxide ink that I have in my stash. For this first layer, I am sticking with more lighter / medium toned colors because there are 4 or 5 layers for each butterfly, and I want to get darker and darker as I go. Here I'm going in with the second layer for this butterfly, and on some of them I'm just going with a darker distress color with the same color family. So those 2 up there I just did blue, green, and blue. This I'll do green, but later on I start experimenting and combining color families. So you'll see I'll do a pink and purple butterfly, a blue and purple butterfly, a green and yellow. So here's that green and yellow. I was a bit heavy-handed with my Twisted Citron ink here, so I end up just making this butterfly green later, and then I'll redo another yellow one at the bottom. But yeah, this was just really fun to see the different combinations that I could create with my Distress Oxide inks. And again, if you don't like the way something's looking, more often than not, you can go over your images with a darker ink and it will cover the lighter. So here I didn't like that yellow and green combo, so I'm going to redo a yellow butterfly, and this time I'll do yellow and orange. And you can see I'm just gliding through all of these butterflies. This is like 4 times the speed, so I wasn't going this fast, but I'm not having any problems, getting ink where I don't want it to be. It's very easy to just move around the different butterflies. I sometimes wipe off my stencil before going to a new color family, but for the most part, this is very easy to do. So here's I think this is the I Love You Butterfly. I did the same thing where I just ink blended through the solid butterfly layer with lighter inks in my stash, and I apologize, I don't have all the inks that I'm using. You can see some of them on screen, but I really just used all the inks I had in my stash, and I encourage you to come up with different color combos that you have. Even if you don't have Distress Oxide inks, dye inks would work really well for this. Oxides are just what I have in my stash. They're the ink that I decided to invest in. And I'm just going to town with the different color combos. With this butterfly, I am doing the center part the lower wing, and then the center wing. So you can see I'm using 3 different parts of the stencil for this stage of the blending, and I do allow some time to dry in between. So once I'm done with these 3 stencils that I'm doing here, I'm going to move on to my thank you butterfly, and then my hello butterfly again, and then I'm going to come back to my I love you butterflies. This just allows the layers to fully dry in between, and you're going to get a better idea of the final outcome because these inks do dry back in color. They're not as vibrant as you see me putting them down right now. And then these are super easy to line up, and everything is on one stencil. So that's really nice. You don't have to flip through the different stencils. They line up very easily. They're basic shapes, so you don't have to worry about lining anything up. And I know I'm going through this process very quickly, but that's just because I made so many butterflies. This one is the thank you butterfly, I believe. And I'm saying they're thank you, hello, and I love you because they come with a coordinating word die and shadow die, which I will use for my 12 cards today. And this is the largest of the 3 butterflies. This one only has 4 layers to it. So I first blended that bottom part of the wing with my darkest ink, and then this center part of the wing I'm going with a mid-tone color. So let me show that again. I'll first go in with those 2 triangles at the bottom left part of the stencil. This just creates a bottom wing detail. I'm going to pick a darker color for this, and with a heavy hand blend that through. And then in this case I'm going to use the same ink with a lighter hand and just blend the center of the body, or I guess it would be the center of the wings, and that just creates a more of a gradient on your butterfly wings. All right, and then we are back to the hello butterfly, so you can see I'm just alternating between all 3 butterfly sets to allow the ink to dry. So I'm going to work on this yellow butterfly, and I'm going with that wing detail on the top left of the stencil, and then going to the bottom right, I'll take the same ink with a lighter hand and just blend that halo around that wing detail. And you do not have to use every single layer on the stencil. Honestly, you could just go in with the solid butterfly and then the center wing detail to add a small gradient, and that could be it. But I did want to take advantage of all those different details and add them to my butterflies. So this is where these really come to life. You can see I blended through the body of the butterfly with black soot distress ink, and then there's also these little dots on the stencils that create those details on the wings. So again, I went in with black for those. I'm not going to do black on all of them. Some of them I'm actually going to gold heat emboss and silver heat emboss to add a little bit of shine to these. But the majority of them I did go with the black just because I did like that contrast, and butterflies in the wild do have black bodies and typically black spots on them. But you can see I'm just easily going through all these butterflies. You can see I stenciled them pretty close together. I'm not getting any smudging, which I really like because I will admit stenciling is not my go-to technique typically because it's usually pretty messy and you do have to bring out all your inks. But there was something about the repetitive process that was very fun to me and enjoyable. This honestly is probably my new favorite technique, and now I understand why every company is bringing out stencils that coordinate with stamps, that coordinate with dies. It truly is, I feel, this year's major card making trend, and possibly part of last year's as well. I just didn't hop on it right away because I am, I guess you could say, new to stenciling. It's not my go-to, but I think starting out with these simple butterflies is a great stepping stone into that card making trend. And now as a designer, I really can't wait to make more of these combo sets. So you can see for the heat embossed butterflies, I just blended through some Versamark ink with a ink dauber. This ink dauber just holds more ink. It makes sure that it covers the entire area perfectly for that embossing powder. And I do have to preface that you must wait for the ink to dry in order for the embossing to work. Otherwise, it's just going to stick to the whole image. So that's, again, another reason why I decided to use all 3 butterflies and go in between each layer so that they would all dry in between. So now I'm moving on to the thank you butterfly. I want this coral butterfly to have gold embossing on it. So I went in with the body and that outer edge of the wing detail with my Versamark ink. And then I'll just heat set those off camera. So for this blue one, I did the same thing, the body and the edge wing detail with silver embossing powder. And then I also went in with the dotted detail layer with my Versamark ink and then poured the same embossing powder over those dots. Here I'm just showing these up in the light. I really enjoy the shine that you get from these. But I will say that I do prefer the black. So for the rest of these, again, I'm going to go in with my Black Soot Distress Oxide ink blend the bodies. And then for some of them, I'll do the outer wing. For some of them, I will just use a darker ink than in the same color family of the butterfly. So on this one, I decided to do the outer wings in Pine Needles. And it's totally up to you. Really, the combinations are endless, and I think that's what I enjoy the most. Not a single butterfly looks the same, even though I did use a lot of the same inks, but I just used them with different color families. I used them with different lighter colors. Some of them I did all black, some of them I did a combination. And then for the dotted detail, I did Black Soot for that butterfly. For this one, I'll do the black body, and then I think I go in with Blueprint Sketch on the outer part of the wings. And this is also a great way to test out different Distress Oxide color combos. So you can actually cut these butterflies out, put them on the back of your ink pads or in a notebook, write down the ink combos that you used, so you know what colors work well together. I didn't do that just because I was really just experimenting and having fun. And you can just kind of see, based on the lid, the color on the lid, what colors you think will go well together. And honestly, there's not a single butterfly that I did not like when I was creating these, and not a single one messed up. And I will say, when I stencil, there is always times that I shift my stencil and completely ruin my background or the image I'm trying to create, but these are just so basic and simple to use that I didn't mess up a single one. So this is the Hello Butterfly. I'm going to blend Versamark ink with my ink dauber. For this blue one, I did the body and the dotted detail. I think for that yellow one in the bottom, I did the body, the outer wing, and the dotted detail. Or I guess I did that with the green one that I just showed in the center. So the silver one, I just did the body and the dots, and then I'm going to do that outer wing detail in a darker blue. And I am using a baby wipe to wipe off the color when I am changing color families. So back to this yellow butterfly, I gold heat embossed the body and the dotted detail. Now I'm going in with the outer wing with some carved pumpkin. Then for the silver embossed one, I'll go around the edges of the outer wings. I think this is Blueprint Sketch again. That's probably one of my new favorite blue colors. There was a lot of new colors I had in my stash that I hadn't used yet, like my Villainous Potion and my Blueprint Sketch I haven't really used. So it was fun to use those colors I don't typically gravitate towards. So this butterfly, I did all black. I did the dotted detail, the outer wing, and the body in black. I'm going to do the same thing with this green one and this blue one. So if you want to do all the layers in the same color, you can get through these much quicker than how I was doing it, because I did want those different combos. But you can see all the ones I'm doing black, I'm going through them much quicker because I don't have to wipe off my stencil in between. So now going into this orange butterfly, I want to have some red outer wings, a black body. I think I went with a black body on all of them except the heat embossed butterflies. And then I'm going to go with the black dotted detail. And I think my favorite part of this is definitely the fact that they're all different. Here's a pink butterfly, and then I'll do the dots with the same red ink. And here's a trick to die cut these butterflies out perfectly. You can see the coordinating dies are solid, and that's because there's etched lines on the wings. So what I did was I cut each butterfly out from scrap white cardstock. I will just pop out those butterflies and use the negative part to line up each of my stenciled butterflies behind. And once I can see that it's perfectly in place, I can pop back that die and cut it through my machine, and that's going to make sure that it lines up perfectly. Now, after I cut a few of those with that technique, I was able to just line them up without it, and I could see through the holes on the die to make sure I was cutting it right. But I just wanted to share that tip in case you did want it to cut out perfectly. But you can see all of the butterflies I stenciled here, and they're cut out very nicely. I love that etched detail on the wings. They are just absolutely gorgeous in these vibrant colors, and I wanted to step them up by embellishing them with our embellishment mixes. So here is my entire collection of mixes. All of these are on the shop, and I'm going to try my best to tell you which ones I used on a few of the butterflies as I'm going through the cards, but I will show you how I embellished 3 of these butterflies. I pretty much did the same thing on all of them. So for this yellow butterfly, I'm using the Citrus Medley mix. This has orange, yellow, and green. From it, I'm just going to use the orange and yellow and add those gems in the same ink areas. So I'm adding the orange gems to the orange areas and the yellow to the yellow. And I'm using about 6 to 7 gems per butterfly and just adding them in random spots along the wing. Here is the Thank You butterfly. This one is one of my favorites. I love the gold heat embossing on it, so I wanted to use both gold pearls and these darker blue pearls. So on almost all of them, I didn't go with a solid color. I did take advantage of the fact that a lot of our mixes have different colors in them, and then some of them I did use the solid colors, but I used 2 colors. So I'm focusing the gold pearls on the top of the wing and the blue at the bottom. And what's nice is each of our mixes have a variety of sizes, so that also adds interest to these. So here is the blue and the yellow. And now I'm just going to do the purple Hello Butterfly. And this mix has a mix of light and dark purple gems. For these, I just use pearls and gems, but we also have sequin mixes, which would be pretty as well. And I will mention that these mixes are a really great value. There's a ton in each bag, and they don't cost a lot, so they're a really great value. So here are all of my butterflies fully blinged out, and I just all day was enjoying the process of stenciling, die cutting, and gluing embellishments on these, and these are good to go whenever you need them. And I know that a lot of people prefer on days where they're not feeling creative to just do something repetitive and create something that they know they can use later. So that was kind of the day I had, and the next day I can work on the cards with these butterflies as the focal point. For a lot of my cards, I am going to be using our new Butterfly Kisses 6x6 paper pad. So I created the background with a yellow pattern paper from that pad and cut it down to 5x6. Now, I wanted to create an A7 card, but 6x6 paper is only 6 inches at its largest. So I just created a 5x6 card. It's still going to go in an A7 envelope. Again, guys, I really would like to start bringing out pattern paper in larger sizes. I just need to find one that works because the 12x12 was too big. I need something in between. But for now, you'll see that I use the paper in ways to make it work for my larger card sizes. This oval that I'm layering up here is called the A7 Intricate Rose Oval. I did die cut that twice from heavyweight cream cardstock, and I just glued them back to back. The center oval I die cut from another pattern paper from the same Butterfly Kisses paper pad. That is already a blended gradient, so that was nice that I didn't have to pull out my inks again, and for the most part I won't pull them out until the end of the video. But I'm going to glue one butterfly that kind of matches that pattern paper or that gradient in the background. I'm going to glue that to the top of the oval, and then I'll glue a stacked black Hello die cut below that. And then all I did to embellish this card was add some more purple gems. There's also some black pearls in this mix. We have a lot of pre-mixed embellishments, so you can combine different colors on a card if you want, like I did there. On this card, I'm actually not going to add any more embellishments because I'm going to be using this busier pattern paper with the little daisies on it. Cut that down again to 5x6. I have another oval that I stacked up with 2 heavy die cuts. And then in the center, I went with a yellow pattern paper. I'm going to glue my coral butterfly to the top again. And this time I did a Hello Gold die cut that is stacked for dimension. So this is the same card layout, just with 2 different butterflies and different pattern papers. So if you have a card sketch, or if you have a card design that you really like, just make more of that design to get through all those butterflies that we made. So now I'm just adding these to my card bases. Again, these are 5 by 6.25. So just under 5 by 7, but I'm still going to mail these in an A7 envelope. So I think those turned out really pretty, and I do want to mention that these cards were inspired by 2 design team members on the Scrappy Tails team, Eilina Kraus and Brenda Noel, so I will link to their blogs so that you can see the original inspiration. For my next 2 cards, I wanted to use the pattern paper that I die cut the solid ovals from the previous cards. So here's that yellow one with the oval cut from the center. I cut that down into an A2 card panel. And then behind it, I wanted to have that same kind of gradient that was on that pattern paper I used on the first card, but I didn't want to use up that paper, so I'm just going to make my own blend. Just using the purple ink that's already on my brush and a pink card panel. You can see that this is not really a great blend. I just want something in the background. The majority of this is going to be covered by my shaker elements, so this is going to be a shaker card. And you can see my die cut ovals on the top left, and I created the frames by die cutting that solid oval from the center, and these will actually be my shaker walls. So I die cut each framed oval, I believe 4 times. Over to the right, I already stacked 3 of those frames together, and my 4th one I'm going to add acetate behind, so that will create the shaker window. And all of these stacked die cuts are going to add dimension for my shaker bits to move around inside the card. I'm going to go ahead and trim off the excess acetate here. And I enjoy die cutting as opposed to adding foam tape because, as you can see, this frame is pretty dainty, and I do not want to stress about adding foam tape behind all those little pieces. And doing the extra die cuts is about the same amount of time in my opinion, and it looks cleaner. So here I'm going to go ahead and add glue all behind this frame and attach it to my 3 stacked frames. So this is 4 die cuts thick. And while this oval is quite large, it also works on A2 cards. So this next design is an A2 size. I'm just going to clean off the acetate window with my shirt there. And now I have all the elements I need to start building my card. I'm going to layer the yellow panel on top of the ink blended one, my oval on top of that, and then I have 2 butterflies that I picked out with my thank you word die cut. This thank you and the hello from the last 2 cards are included in those butterfly sets. There is 1 word die and 1 shadow die included with each butterfly, which I think is great because word dies are great to have in your stash. And personally, I don't like buying them by themselves, so having those extra butterflies included, I think, is really fun. So you can see I glued down my yellow panel to the ink blended one, and I wanted to use this mix that's actually included in the Butterfly Kisses card kit, but I didn't want the pink flowers from that mix. So I'm going to take those out. I'm just going to use the green and yellow pearls from that mix, and then I'm also going to add some clear and light purple gems into that pile. And then I'll go ahead and close it up with the oval. And I think out of all 12 cards, this one's my favorite. I really like how the shaker turned out, and that oval is so pretty. And actually, that blue and purple butterfly reminds me of Sully from Monsters, Inc. So that's also my favorite butterfly that I blended. So I'll just add those to the top left and bottom right corner. And then my thank you is stacked up with 3 layers of black die cuts. That's just going to go right in the center. I kind of wish that I don't know, I'm kind of back and forth on it. But it might have stood out more if I would have added the shadow layer behind, but then it also would have covered more of the shaker. So I don't know. It still looks really cute. It's still my favorite card. So now we're going to create a similar design, but this pattern paper I'm using has some butterfly art on the top left and bottom right corner. So I didn't want to cover that up with my butterflies, so I'm just going to use one butterfly on this card. Again, this is cut to an A2 size. I'm also trimming down my ovals because I didn't want this intricate oval to take away from that pretty pattern paper either. So honestly, I would suggest using oval or solid oval dies that you have in your stash, but I just decided to keep using the die I have been using. You can get multiple looks with it if you want to cut off that intricate part. So my dark purple frame is going to go behind or on top of the acetate to create the window, and then I die cut and trim down 2 heavyweight white oval frames that I glued together. So I think my first shaker card was 4 die cuts thick. This one's only 3 die cuts thick, and that's because I am using those flowers that I took out from the first shaker. I'm going to use those on this card, and those are flat enamel embellishments, so I didn't need it to be quite as thick. Alright, so that's going to go there, and then I'm just going to use this pink butterfly, and I'll use the I love you word die on this card. So here I'm picking out the embellishments. I just pulled in my embellishment tin. That tin comes with 5 mixes that I'm going to be using throughout the video, and it also has those flowers that I took out from the first card. They're the same thing. And then they also include little butterfly wing enamel pieces. I took the butterfly wings out. I just want the flowers. So if you have the card kit, you can just use the flowers from the mix that's included. And then I'll go ahead and glue my gradient panel onto my card base. I'm going to spread out those embellishments because I don't have that much dimension on this oval. I want to make sure it's as flat as possible. I'll add my frame on top, and then my butterfly to the bottom right corner. And then that I love you is stacked 3 times with heavyweight red cardstock. I liked that I was able to pull in the red that was on the butterfly's wings. And this is pretty much the same card as the first shaker, just slightly different. But again, if you have a card design that you enjoy, just create multiple cards with it, especially if you made as many butterflies as I did at the beginning of this video. And I still have like 6 or 7 left. I am going to use 3 of them on my 10 card 1 kit video. So you will get more ideas in an upcoming video. Here's a close-up of each card. And now we're going to create a slimline. And I really wish I made 2 of these. I don't know why I didn't. But I am going to pull in the Slimline Butterfly Swirl die set. And I'm just going to be using the frame from this die. I'm going to cut that out twice from Heavyweight Cream cardstock and once from Gold Mirror. And then I'm also going to cut this blue pattern paper from the Butterfly Kisses paper pad. I'm going to fold it in half so that I can cut it in half. And again, this is 6x6 paper. I want it to work for a slimline card, so I'm going to have to cut 2 pieces to create 1 long piece. And I'm just cutting it from the center of that die. I didn't actually want the frame, I just wanted the panel that nests inside the frame. So that's how that's going to look. I can go ahead and layer up these frames. And then here I'm just making sure everything lines up. There is a seam in the middle that I'm going to cover up with a butterfly. I'm going to pick out 3 butterflies for this card, and again, this would have been a nice card to make 2 of because it does use up 3 butterflies on 1 card. So I might go back and make more of these because I do have a few left over. So here I have my slimline card base. This is 8.5 by 3.5, and the frame is also 8.5 by 3.5. Just going to glue that onto the card base. And I really love that extra dimension on the frame. It's definitely a personal choice. You don't have to do that. And then I'll go ahead and nest my pattern inside. And this paper pad is also in the Butterfly Kisses card kit. So a lot of these cards you can recreate if you did buy the card kit. And instead of doing the 3 different butterflies, you can just do 3 hello butterflies that have different colors on them. I went ahead and stamped out a few sentiments from the Birds and Blooms 6x8 stamp set. I'm going to go with a gold heat embossed with Deepest Sympathy sentiment. And I think butterflies are nice for sympathy cards. For all of my cards, I did glue the butterflies only in the center of their bodies so that I can lift up their wings. And then again, I'll add that sentiment to the bottom. And that finishes off my 3rd card design. This one came together really quickly because I had all those butterflies pre-assembled. And now we're going to move on to the 4th design, and I'm going to use the frame and the thanks sentiment from our new A2 framed hot foil butterfly set. I have used this frame in my last video, and I really love it. It's just a nice way to frame in any focal point. Again, I'm using that same pattern paper on this card, and I'm going to create a tone-on-tone design using 2 blue butterflies. And you can create a whole card set of these if you want to do the whole rainbow. That would be really cute. So all I did was add that blue hot foiled frame to the outside of the pattern paper. Then I'll add 2 butterflies, and in the middle I will add the thanks hot foiled sentiment. And I actually had all of these hot foils already made from that video. I did mention that when I do hot foil, I tend to do more than just 1 card's worth because I don't like to hot foil all the time. I have to be in the mood for it. So the fact that these were already just laying on my desk, it was perfect to use with these butterflies. I am using the Ice Candy mix as well as some aqua pearls and light blue, baby blue pearls, I think is what it's called on the website. I just added those in a diagonal, and I wish the camera could show how pretty the gems and pearls look. They add a really nice finishing touch, not only to the butterflies, but to the cards. So I am going to mat this with a dark blue cardstock that kind of ties in with the blueprint sketch on the butterflies. And then I'll just add that to my A2 card base. And that finishes off that design. Really pretty. Again, when you have a design that you like, create multiples. I had another hot foiled frame and another thanks. This is like a champagne gold color, which is really pretty. Again, I went with that ink blended pink to purple paper. And this time I am trying to cover as much of the artwork as possible, just because I really just wanted the gradient on this card. So I am going to position the butterflies to cover up that tiny bit of butterfly wing at the top. I did like the little swirls from the pattern paper, so I didn't cover those. I am going to add foam tape behind this hot foiled thanks and add that to the bottom left. And just finish it off with some more purple gems. All right, and then I'll glue that to my A2 card base. Oh, just kidding. I'm going to again add a matte behind this. This is dark purple. And then I'll add this to my A2 card base. And I know this video is super long, but I just wanted to show you as much of those stenciled butterflies as I could, because to me, it is my new favorite technique. I can't stress that enough. I always have fun card making, but this session of 2 days of stenciling butterflies and then building cards with them was the most fun I had in a really long time, especially because I do divide my time up between drawing and crafting. And sometimes when I transition to one or the other, I hit a block. You know, it's hard to get started on a completely new project, but this was very easy for me. I think if you have a lack of art mojo, I think being able to stencil all these butterflies in the different colors kind of sparks creativity while you're doing it. And yeah, these card designs just came to me very easily. And they are simple layouts too. So anyway, I had a bunch of these leftover ovals that I cut from those frames on previous cards. So I stacked them up on the top layer. I did emboss it with a polka dot embossing folder. And this is pretty much the same thing I did for the first 2 cards. I added a butterfly to the top of the oval, the hello word die to the bottom. And then I just chose 2 pattern papers, cut them in half, and added them to the background. I think having that blue gradient to the left kind of mutes down the busy pattern on the right. And again, that gradient is included in the paper pad, so you don't have to worry about ink blending if you don't want to. And this time I did do a stacked hello die cut with silver mirror cardstock at the top. And this card is just going to be embellished with some silver gems. And I love the silver embossing on this butterfly. It matches the gradient on the left. And some of these cards really only took 10 minutes to assemble because I had those pre-cut butterflies. So I'm going to add this to my A2 card base. And I do also want to mention that the paper pads have 4 of each design. So if you want to make 4 of the exact same card, you can if you wanted to. Here is the other one I made, same layout. I just went with a yellow butterfly with a purple oval. Again, these pattern papers are also in the Butterfly Kisses paper pad, and I did emboss that purple oval with a Swiss dot embossing folder. For my next, or I guess my final 3 cards, I'm going to pull in an older background die set. This is the Slimline Tiki Weave. I'm going to use this to create 1 slimline card and 2 mini slimlines. And this is just going to add a bit of texture to the background. So this gold piece was actually die cut from that Slimline butterfly swirl frame. I had that as the inner piece. I decided to use it on this slimline card, and I ran it through the Tiki Weave to add a little bit of texture. And then I also ran that Tiki Weave through with 2 mini slimline card panels to add that same texture. And I wanted my shadow dies for my words to coordinate with the butterfly colors. So here I have my thank you shadow die. I'm going to use Chip Sapphire and Blueprint Sketch to completely color these. And this will perfectly match my thank you butterfly that I'm going to add to the card. So this was the first time I'm actually using the shadow dies. I actually used this thank you on my previous wreath card design. It's always nice to have a shadow, especially if you have busier backgrounds. I also want to have the same ink blend on the background of this card, and I kind of wish I didn't do this much blending because you only see just like half an inch on each side, because I'm going to end up covering this with a new butterfly swirl frame. At first I thought I was just going to have this as the background completely, but I thought including that frame would just look really cool. So yeah, I didn't have to do all this blending. Anyway, we're gonna do the hello next, and I'm gonna do Salty Ocean and Twisted Citron for this shadow die. And if you'd like to see close-up pictures of all these cards, definitely check out my coordinating blog post. I actually do create a blog for every video that I post, and sometimes I forget to mention that. So if any of my videos, if you want to see more pictures or more info on links to the products that I use, definitely check out those coordinating blogs. I am going to use the same inks to blend onto my Tiki mini slimline panel here, and I'm going in with a very light hand. I don't want this background to overtake the actual butterflies that are blended with the same colors. But here you can see how this is going to look, and I like that that Tiki just added a bit of texture and interest to the background. I'm going to do the same thing with the I love you, and I wanted to use complementary colors, but you have to be careful because if you mix complementary colors, you will get brown. So I'm going to add a bit of purple to the bottom of the I love you shadow die, and the majority of it I'm going to add yellow, and I'm going to avoid contacting those two colors together so that I don't get that mixture of brown. Again, same thing on this cream tiki weave panel, just with a very light hand applying the ink. This is Dusty Concord and Squeeze Lemonade. And if you haven't yet already, please also subscribe to my YouTube channel. We are growing on YouTube, and that's very exciting. Creating these cards and the coordinating video tutorials is my favorite part of my job, and I don't have a lot of time to actually do the filming and card making because I have to keep drawing for my upcoming releases. So I have a bunch of videos in the queue, luckily, that I'm going to start posting periodically through the time that I'm drawing my next release. So hopefully I won't be gone for as long as I usually am. Anyway, so here is that gold panel. I'm going to add 2 heavyweight panels behind it, and these I also had on my desk because I stacked up that frame on my other Slimline card. And then here you can see all of my blue elements match together because I use the same inks. That just makes me really happy. This card is super elegant, like very, very pretty. And instead of raising up the frame, I like that I raised the centerpiece so that it's a little bit different from my last card. And I was going back and forth, do I want to add the frame? Do I want more of the ink blending to show? But I honestly kind of liked how gaudy it looked with the all gold. So I just decided to go with it and attach this down completely flat. And then the thank you is over to the right. I die cut the words from the same gold mirror cardstock, stacked it up so it's a little bit raised. And then my butterfly is just over there to the left. I do like to use a combination of my ATG gun and liquid glue. And I will have a 10 card 1 kit video very soon, so you'll see these butterflies again, or at least the hello butterfly again. I'm going to embellish this card with the blue pearls that I added to this butterfly. I didn't add the gold just because there's already so much gold on this card, but this one is very pretty. Another one I think you can do in all metallics, so silver, rose gold. I think that would be very, very pretty. So here are the mini slimline versions. I die cut the, I think the I Love You from black, raised it up with some white die cuts behind it. And then I'm going to add my yellow butterfly to the purple blended area and my purple butterfly to the yellow area. I think that looks really cute. Again, popping up their wings by just gluing the centers of their bodies to the card. And then all I do to finish these off is add some more gems. Again, I'm pulling in that circle tin. The tin includes yellow gems and also purple. I don't know why I didn't use the purple from there, but I had these ones already on my desk, so I'll use both of those. And I really enjoy mixing colors for embellishments. I used to just use one solid color for each of my cards. But even on my monochromatic cards, I mix up the different shades of the same color to add a bit of interest. So that finishes off that design. I'm going to mat it with black cardstock. I am very surprised that this is the only card I matted with black, especially given how vibrant the butterflies turned out. But I will use it on this design. And again, you can replicate this one with other complementary colors. Blue and orange are my favorite. So yeah. And you can also swap out the word dies, which is nice. So this one's going to be my hello, and I die cut the top with gold glitter cardstock, matted it behind 2 heavyweight white die cuts. And now I'm just arranging my butterflies here. This time I stuck the blue butterfly in the blue section and the green in the green. And then my hello is just going to go on the bottom left. And these were very quick and easy to put together. Really, honestly, I tried to keep these cards as simple as I could because I spent so much time on the actual butterflies. Again, I'm going to use the green gems that are included in the circle tin and the ice candy gems to embellish this card. And then all I have to do is add this one to a mini slimline card base and also my slimline card to a slimline card base. And that finishes off my 12 cards today. I honestly could have kept going if I wanted to because I do have some more butterflies on my desk, but I was really happy with how these turned out, and if anything, I'll go back and redo, or I guess create more of the same design. I will, of course, have all the products I used linked down below. If you have to have all 3 butterflies, I do have a discounted bundle set. And I am going to pull in all 12 cards. Again, congratulations to the 2 winners of the product showcase video. And if you missed out on that giveaway, we have another one going on right now for our inspiration hop for the Heartfelt Wings collection. And that is actually my last video I posted. So I will have that link down below. All you have to do is comment on that video to enter to win one of 2 $25 gift cards to Scrappy Tails. So here are all the cards. I absolutely love these, and I especially love all the embellishments on them. They're so sparkly. Let me know what is your favorite card. I think mine is the thank you shaker card, and the 2 slimline cards turned out really pretty. Anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your Sunday and a start to your new week, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!